Hey, welcome to Saturday's Warrior. I'm Trevor, and today we are going to be ranking all the Big 12 football uniforms for the 2025 season. Although I do want to point out, we're still in the summer, that there's still changes that are subject to be made, but I held out last year for all announcements to be made. The season began, and then the video never got made. And so I'm not making that mistake again. So if there's changes by the time the season begins, then take that out at your teams because they've had all summer to make any announcements. They had media day to show off and showcase any new designs. The teams that have gotten them out so far, those will be incorporated in this video. And another ground rule, I guess, of how I'm trying to rank this is I'm really trying to pay attention to the primary design. There's just way too many alternates to try to take all of that into account, and I'm sure I'll miss things. Now, primary design is really subjective at this point because so many teams have just so many machinations of their uniform. They don't really have a single design. Remember the day when teams used to have a home and away? Would have made this a lot easier. So if there's looks or designs or primary schemes that I'm somehow missing in this video, I mean, it is incredibly tough to track all this for every team, but I welcome any feedback, input on those so I can incorporate them going forward. Now, these rankings, I've done this several times throughout the years of various conferences. I did the old look, Big 12, and some of these other conferences prior to realignment, some of them post realignment. So after you watch this video, go check those out. And while you're at it, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel so you can continue to catch any other uniform rankings and all of our other BYU and Big 12 and college football content as we get going. So now let's take a look at our rankings. As I said, I began working on this last year and originally wanted to include these guys in the rankings as well. And as annoying as they and their fan bases are, I have to give them an honorable mention because these uniforms are so iconic, so clean. But we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about these guys. Since this was from Big 12 Media Day, these are the looks that I am basing my rankings off of. And there's not a bad look amongst these. So just because your team gets a low ranking does not mean I'm saying your uniform is trash. At number 16, we have Cincinnati. Now, Cincy has really leveled up its look. I mean, look at some of these uniforms from its past. They're just, ugh. I think this uniform's really clean. I have no real complaints about it. It's just not quite as memorable as some of the others in the conference. However, I will say I am not a fan of these new red uniforms, and the helmet is definitely giving Chick-fil-A vibes. At number 15, we have West Virginia. Again, not a bad look, but unlike Cincy, the changes they made last year actually downgraded their overall look and vibe in my book. And even though I actually really like some of these elements in a vacuum, altogether, it just leaves it a bit cluttered. Look at this. You've got the crescent moon on the shoulders. You've got the outline of the numbers. You have the stripes on the pants now, as well as the shoulder logo. And actually, I really like that logo on the shoulder, but just altogether, it's just a little cluttery for me. But this year, they are bringing back the gloss helmet, and there are fans that seem pretty excited about that. And I think they should just really lean into the retro and go full retro. Again, they got that shoulder logo, really clean look, but these are very, very reminiscent of Michigan, and I'm guessing that's something Rich Rod would like to avoid. At number 14, we have Kansas, and this brings us to what I call the Adidas tier. Now, Adidas has stepped up its game and makes some pretty good looks now, but I think they're still trying too hard to avoid looking like Nike, that sometimes the looks just don't quite land. And this look does look familiar. There's something about it I just can't put my finger on. Oh, right, SMU. Only they pull it off better. So it's really close. It just doesn't quite pass muster. But unlike Cincy, these are a huge upgrade over the other garbage they used to roll out. At 13, we have Texas Tech. And thanks to Patrick Mahomes, Tech was rescued from Under Armour. Again, I really like this look. It is a huge upgrade. But the one thing that Under Armour did right were these throwbacks. And I would have loved to have seen them adopt these. They had the answer right in front of them. And I gotta say, I love the flat Texas Tech logo, the double T logo, instead of the beveled look they have now. And while we're talking about their helmets, you got to give them props for throwing the pirate decal on the back of the helmet to honor Mike Leach, especially with the way things ended there. At number 12, we have ASU. Now, this will probably end up being my most controversial take on this list, but I can explain. First off, this gold jersey ain't it. But also, this is another case of Adidas having the perfect solution and then making unnecessary changes. Look at their previous home uniform. It was perfect, and had they kept it, this uniform would probably still be at least top 5. But they had to go making changes. They made some white outlines around the numbers, which aren't terrible, but I just love the simplicity and the contrast of the maroon and gold. And even more egregious is that they removed the beautiful stripes on the pants and replaced them with a logo. Pants logos feel very FCS to me. But hey, if they keep rocking that retro Sparky helmet, it can only help them move up. But you also can't complain about being ranked this low when you've got this as one of your uniforms. At number 11, we have Houston. And I told myself I was not going to make an Apollo 11 joke here, but this is just one more example of having a perfect uniform and then downgrading. Had I not known better and you showed me these two uniforms side by side, I'd have thought that the current look was what they wore when they were in the American and then upgraded to the other look when joining the Big 12. Very bizarre to see a team move up in ranks and take a step back like that. And while the alternates aren't taken into consideration for these rankings, let's just take a moment to admire these. At number 10, we have Colorado. Now, I wish teams in Colorado and Utah would understand that they don't have to have mountains on all of their uniforms. We get it. There are mountains there. Fortunately, the mountains aren't very visible on TV, and I love that they really leaned into the gold with this team, which I think really embodies the vibe of a prime-led team. And I'm just going to pretend that these gray uniforms didn't happen. And I absolutely love that they included this throwback look. I just wish that they would wear it even more frequently, if not go to that as their primary uniform. But overall, solid job from Colorado. At number 9, we have Arizona. This is exactly what I'd want from an Arizona jersey. Minus the red one, I could do without those. But the helmet with the cat script on it is fantastic. Now, I know this is a minor tweak, but I love that they changed the stripes on the shoulders to match those on the pants and the helmet, and from the logo. It's just really beautiful symmetry. At number 8, we have UCF. And now, maybe it's just recency bias because this is the shiny new toy that we got from the offseason, but I really like these. They are fresh while also staying pretty clean and simple. And then they have the gold drop shadow, which gives it just that little bit of pop. It's very nice. If you can't tell by now, I'm a guy who likes more traditional looks, but UCF doesn't have a long history, so I'm okay that they do things a little bit differently as long as they nail the look. And they nailed it. At number 7, we have TCU. Now, there was some minor outrage when TCU released these. People thought that they were way too plain, but not me. TCU has an amazing color scheme, but it feels like they always try too hard with their looks, so I love this pared back version. Besides, that weird lizard scale design around the collar always gave me real court jester vibes. And I think this look actually translates really well in action. One minor tweak though, add the Horned Frog logo on the shoulder instead of numbers. But I do need to say that I found this image somewhere, probably on social media, but I can't remember who did it. So I apologize to whoever did. I'm not trying to steal credit. If you know, please let me know in the comments. At number 6, we have Baylor. And like their rivals, we have another updated look that had a lot of backlash when it was released. But I like the stripes, even though they're more than a little bit reminiscent of the Packers uniforms or the Bison. But they have a fantastic color scheme and a really clean look. They just added some classic elements to it, zigging when other schools like Cincy and TCU were zagging to the ultra clean look, only they pulled it off much better than West Virginia. And number 5, we have Utah. I bet you didn't see that coming, but I really love this retro look for the Utes, and it appears that they've gone all in on that and the interlocking U logo. Now, this previous look, on the other hand, would have landed them straight at the bottom of this list, no questions asked. Which is funny because my dad, who's a Ute, owns like 5 Utah hats, all with the old drum and feather logo on it. He just simply refuses to adopt this new brand identity. These uniforms are just really classic looking. And ignoring the roses, I only have one minor tweak that I would make, and that would be for the numbers to use more of a classic block font on there to match the logo a little bit more. And also, please don't use these in black. What a great look. At number 4, we have Oklahoma State. The Pokes pull off a perfect blend of both modern and classic designs. And I love each of these helmets. The Pistol Pete, the cursive script Cowboys, and even their primary logo, which I haven't always been a big fan of. I really like it now because they dropped that beveled look. Your move, Tech. At number 3, we have Iowa State. I never thought I'd say this, but the Cyclones uniforms are awesome. My only complaint is it seems like they wear the black and white alternates way too often. I know it's a callback to their original color scheme, and it does look really good, but it just feels like they're trying a little too hard to be hip and not fully embracing their primary identity. And I am a sucker for helmets with cursive script on it, definitely better than their primary logo. At number 2, we have K-State. Love these, so classic. They really haven't changed in decades. Beautiful color scheme, no notes. At number 1, we have BYU. And now, I know it's no surprise that a BYU show picks BYU at the top of these rankings. Oh, is that Retzloff? How did he get in here? Oops. That's better. And yes, I'm biased, but I did a baseball uniform ranking, and they didn't win that one. And when I do basketball, they won't be at the top of that one either. I really do think BYU's look is that good. And while I prefer their more classic color schemes with the white helmet, they don't have a bad look in the lot. And look at these 90s uniforms. They don't count, but still a thing of beauty. So let's recap the rankings real quick. A couple solid looks, just not as memorable as the others. The Adidas tier, which with a few tweaks could easily be in the top 5. Some more very solid looks, getting it done. I mean, look at this. There's not a bad look in the entire conference. And then you get to the elite level, and of course, BYU on top. All right, so those are my rankings. I'm sure I've ticked off some fan bases here, but please let me know in the comments. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? Let me know how you would rank all 16 of the Big 12 uniforms. I want to hear all that. And while you're down there, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you come back, catch all of our other content. Appreciate you watching. And as always, go Cougs and Big 12.